Sending data. Go on and send all that data. Oh, and we are live again. Beautiful. Love it. How y'all doing? How are you doing? We have an amazing one, like always. Oh my goodness. What's happening? So chat, hopefully having an amazing day. Gonna have an even better day. Now, we're not really doom scrolling. Chat, you are the jury with Wi-Fi. We've got Bilzerian versus PBD. We got Nick Shirley. We got the new politicians in California, perhaps. What do you guys think? Are they going to go red? Are they going to go blue? We got politics wearing sunglasses indoors. We got courts throwing chairs and a gold statue that looks like Moses needs to call security. Hit like, subscribe, join the member crew, and if take saves you 30 minutes of internet brain damage, send a super chat, plant your flag. There you go. Let's get it warmed up with a little bit of POTUS. Talk to us, buddy. Let's see what's happening.
The city's clean and they're going to spend. But the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is a joke, by the way, they didn't sue that building. They didn't sue anybody. But they sue me and I build. And by the way, my buildings, it's all donations. Rich people and people are putting up the money. Zero taxpayer dollars. Is that right, Scott? Zero taxpayer dollars. This stuff is all done for free and I get sued. This can only happen to Trump. But they don't sue the guy whose interest rates are too high. That's why we call him Too Late. His name is Jerome Powell. We call him Jerome Too Late Powell. And done a terrible job. He suffers from Trump derangement syndrome, as he probably should, because I hit him pretty hard. But so I don't blame him. But they don't sue a man who has taken this gorgeous building, ripped it down from the inside, taking ceilings that are as beautiful as you've ever seen, taking the ceilings down instead of leaving them, taking walls down that were 2 feet thick of solid concrete and plaster, replacing them with 6-inch walls with no insulation. I said, let me ask you, are you going to put insulation in? No, it's not in the budget. Oh. Insulation costs $5. Now you're going to hear the guy next door. If he's next door to me, I'll be able to hear his military plan. I'll know exactly. If Lutnick is in there, I'll say, oh, I know exactly what Lutnick's got planned. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. They've ripped this gorgeous building apart, and you can never build it again. I could, but it costs a lot of money. But a normal person can never build. So you're going to have crummy little walls, a flat little ceiling eventually, but right now you don't have anything. And nobody sues this guy. And then when Jeanine Pirro, working with Pam and others, has the courage to sue to find out what happened to maybe $4 billion and a building that may never be occupied by Kevin Warsh. She may never get there. We're going to have to find him some space in the White House. We'll put him in the basement of the ballroom. But when, think of it. When Jeanine Pirro and Pam and the group, when they bring a suit, it's like, oh, this terrible thing. And then we have a judge that attacks us. So we've got to get our priorities straight, It's a very sad thing that's happened with the Fed. And then just one other thing very quickly, you have Gavin Newsom in California Railroad. That's 100 times over budget. It's out of control. Goodness. It was supposed to go from the middle of San Francisco to the middle of LA. Well, now it stops way short of both. It now goes into areas that nobody ever heard of. It's billions and billions of dollars over budget, years and years, maybe decades late. And that's why we have a country that has a lot of problems, We have incompetent people. It's all people.
We do.
Think of this, Federal Reserve, I would have had that building done for $25 million. I would have, if I did it, somebody else would have done it for more. So maybe 50. But you could have done that building, if it was properly done and planned, you would have done that building I would have done it for 25 million, and it would be better. It would be better. See this pen right here? This pen is an interesting example. It's the same thing. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. But I can't have the pen the way it was. You know what it is. I don't want to give them too much publicity, but they do treat me well. Sharpie.
You know we love Sharpie. Oi, oi, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you. You guys ready for Dan Bilzerian and Patrick Bet-David debating politics and modern dating? That's one thing about President Trump. What a great builder he is, you know. What an amazing builder.
What would you say is the greatest high?
We went all the way down the road to hedonism and documented it. You know,
so marriage is out the question for you, out of the question, no interest at all.
unless she's a billionaire, you know what I mean? I'm like, you got any guns? Like, can we buy a gun? He's like, no, but we can buy dynamite.
How old are you at this time? 13?
13, yeah.
And you're interested in guns at 13?
Oh, I was like 6. I got my first gun. % tax on tea. That's why we have this country. Come a long way from there.
What's your point?
Is that where it started?
My point is that, you know, we should stop putting up with this bullshit. And they're pushing division, and they're pushing a degradation of moral fiber. I don't give a who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
Everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution?
She was like one of the most hated people. Like, how she even got the nomination, it's beyond me. Like, how they didn't even give it a big mic is crazy. Like,
you announced you're running for office in 2015. It sounds like you're going to run again. I mean,
Today, I'm very excited to sit down with businessman and former professional poker player Dan Bilzerian. Now, while he's famous for his wild and luxurious lifestyle that has attracted millions on social media, Dan recently shared with me that he has stepped away from the spotlight to reflect on his life, the effect of non-stop partying on his life. We talked about addiction, how to talk to women. In this interview, Dan talks about his journey from living as a playboy to finding true happiness. Let's just get right into it.
Recently, you know, when I watched some of your
Pretty cool introduction. Gotta add, it's kind of hyping me up, you know.
Your tweets, I don't know if you've announced this or not. I don't know if you've joined AIPAC. I don't know if you are, if you are an advisor for them. Let me read some of these tweets. Muslims aren't the problem. The open borders and motherfuckers and the media attacking nationalism, pushing DEI, transgenderism, and destroying moral values are the problem. August 4th. If you don't put America first as a U.S. politician, you are committing treason. Supporting Israel is bad for America. Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal and Israel is not our ally. We fought way too many wars for Israel and we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th.
Big statements right there, chat. Big statements, man.
These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda. And then all of a sudden we got scripture here. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Is this recent,
pretty good,
comments you're making about Israel
is Bilzerian going to become a philosopher?
Recent thing, or have you always had these beliefs?
It's more recent. I didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, like, you can't say anything about it, they'll fucking kill.
Trespatines 305 says, not statements, facts, buddy. Fact. Get your words right, man. Those are facts. Thanks for the chat, buddy. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want.
Kill you. Like, everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it. And actually now they're like literally like trying to like kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. So, like, shit. Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends. But I don't give a fuck, It's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing, and the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like, they provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, would constitute, an act of war against us. I mean, U.S.
This guy is Dan Bilzerian.
This Liberty Lebanon affair, I mean, it can go on and on and on and on and on.
We have Ben Affleck saying he's the new Andrew Tate.
But
I didn't see Waffle Man. He's not. I don't think he's here yet. He's coming soon, probably.
And I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, right before he died was, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, I mean, it's just like...
And those facts that he's dropping is pretty wild. Like, Jack Ruby never knew his last name is Rubenstein. My goodness. Clayton, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Thank you for jumping in on the chat, buddy.
And then you just, I don't know, man. I can't.
Daniel Valensky says, oh, man, Israel derangement syndrome.
Ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. And I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around and telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100,000 to politicians, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. Like, I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, Democrats in there. So, but that's 100,000. Like, what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? And so like, I just know how it works, and the system is broken. Like, these people get into office and they don't have very much money, and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel?
Buzzam dropping some knowledge in the chat, saying JFK's speech at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel is about this infiltration. What in the world? Gotta look that up. Thank you for that chat, buddy. By the way, we're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, help support this channel. Thank you so much. I love you. I need you. The Lord loves you. Your family loves you. And you're going to have an amazing day today. You're just amazing.
Israel thing, or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China doesn't have they don't have an AIPAC. Like, Israel is the only one that has a fucking, like, a lobby in the U.S. fucking, giving these politicians money.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part?
Happy Mother's Day.
Israel.
That's another problem is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue as well.
Do you know why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
What do you mean?
Like, so the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a, country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship here. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of like, okay, you're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this?
Clayton Manuela says, surely Americans just want free healthcare. Simple thing. Most countries have it. Oh, free healthcare like Cuba? Like when Nick Shirley went to Cuba and everyone had to perform surgery with flashlights because they don't have any lights in the hospitals. Ideally, it makes sense for sure. But whenever they say free healthcare, it's usually with a huge cost.
How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country, you won't lose your citizenship? That was the arrangement at the beginning why they did it that way.
No, look, I get it. I have 3 citizenships. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I think
Where's the third one? I know Armenia, but what's the
St. Kitts.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't have an issue with dual citizenship. My issue is when somebody is holding a U.S.
Clayton, do you have a good example you can share with me? Paulo Salsi says Democrats. How you doing, Paul? Good to see you, buddy.
Office, and they are putting a foreign nation's interest before America's interest, and they are favoring that.
There you go. T590 says free means C-rap.
Other country, and so that to me is treason. Like, when you are a U.S. government official, your motivation should be to do things in the best interest of the government that you are representing, not 100%. Some other fucking foreign country.
Gramblam says, Dan is a god among men. There you go. Yeah, Dan's a special man. Very special man.
And that's the problem.
Okay, so but go through it. So what is the solution? Meaning, if Israel's the enemy, then if let's just say you don't do anything and everybody in the Middle East unites to take out Israel, do you think the Middle East is better without Israel? And do you think the world's a safer place without Israel?
100%. It's not even close.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you think?
Give me an argument otherwise. Please.
But
give me one argument why the world would be better off with Israel. Let's just start with that. One thing. Give me one thing.
Have you ever lived in the Middle East?
No.
I lived there for 10 and a half years. It's a very, it's not as like here. You can sit here, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, I can be a Christian, you can be a Jew, you can be an LDS, Muslim, no problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. Not everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean,
Clayton, that's cool, man. Which country are you in?
Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money
Boycott, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Khamenei's family's made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai, I've been to Saudi, I've been to UAE. So and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than. But go back to it. So okay, so you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense? Well, when 1,200 people died, of which the 1,200 you've killed and admitted that you've killed a lot during, your handle.
I will tell you this.
At CTV, how you doing? That's a pretty big statement that PBD said over there, that Israel is defending themselves. Yeah.
The part I question, where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this, I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they're attacking you.
They knew about it. They didn't. They wanted it to happen, so they had a reason to take that. Yeah, they wanted a reason to take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens. And they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete. Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. How many babies have they killed? All the things that they accuse the Palestinians of, or Hamas of, or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves. And they've been doing that. October 7th wasn't the start of this. The start of this was Nakba. They've done so many different.
Disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so this is not it's not like October 7th is just all of a sudden they just came over there unsolicited and just killed people. They have been killing Palestinians for years and years, operating two sets of justice. It's they have the justice for the Palestinians and the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like cattle. If a Jew is killed by
Rudy Armenta says, yes, that mullet tells me I hate truth. Please explain yourself, buddy. What are you trying to talk about? What do you mean? T590 says, pretty much inhumanely.
Somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then, you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. They literally segregate in their Bible.
Is that accurate? If someone is not a Jew and they get extinguished, they cannot. Oh, man.
Protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a.
Well, it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people, and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, if you think those things are okay, then, how?
All right, so you guys, someone in the chat was saying, oh yeah, we just want free healthcare like China. Okay. So what about the waiting room from hell? Chinese mega hospitals are seeing over 10,000 outpatients per day. 10,000. You don't have a doctor's appointment. You have a music festival. You walk in with a broken arm and walk out 3 days later with a broken arm and a new personality disorder you caught in the waiting room.
How are you going to operate? Because to me, like, my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story of what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
What rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything?
No, but I'm asking. No, there was no rapes during.
Is Mr. Bilzerian wrong by just asking for proof here? Seems like PBD's trying to avoid answering that.
During October 7th, they've shown no rapes from October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was.
Yeah, just listen to Mr. Jason Beatrice. Jason Beatrice has jumped into the chat, by the way, saying Israel doesn't, or for PE people, extinguish civilians, and they don't steal. There you go. And he is not by any means practicing sarcasm.
It's all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No, there's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet, and the other one died in a hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There was no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
The big. Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you.
Jared Reck. Oh man, is that where our taxes go? I can't really read your statement, but I can read it, but I can't speak it, I guess, is what I can say.
Believe that Jews think they're better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else. Okay.
I didn't say they're better than everybody else.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And then if you look at how they operate, right, like they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners, and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right.
Darren Galpin jumping in the chat saying the stand down order is all you need to understand. What do you mean about that? Can you explain?
To rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt like they had the right to rape these prisoners. They felt like that was okay because they weren't Jewish. So, you know, when you have a society that operates like that, you're going to have fucking problems. And they're not the fucking most moral army. That's all fucking bullshit. You know, everything that they say, it's just like almost like, listen, when somebody...
So what happens if that is not accurate? What happens with that? Is there anything that happens after that, you know, to kind of deter people from not telling the truth? By the way, we're going live every day of 2026, and make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat right there on the bottom left. Help us reach our goals, keep this channel alive. And we got Darren Galpin saying music festival was bait. It was bait, was it? Can you please explain yourself, buddy?
He lies to me. Like, if you lie to me, I'm not probably going to trust you again. You lie to me a second time, I'm definitely not going to trust you. You lie to me a third time, and I let you lie to me the third time, I'm the fucking idiot.
There you go. There you go. And we got Etsy TV saying Muhammad married an 8-year-old.
These motherfuckers have lied like 10,000 times. So, like, I don't believe anything they say anymore.
I come from a place of, I don't sit here expecting you to tell me 100% the truth.
AXV says penalties for lying and misleading and manipulating do not even exist anymore. They're not even enforced. But how could they be enforced? Don't you think the world would be a better place if it was?
I don't sit here thinking, yeah, Dan's going to tell me 100% the truth with whatever he has in his life. I don't expect that from you because I don't expect people to walk on water. That's not my expectation. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live it with my life, but you can't think that China's going to tell us the truth, or Iran tells us the truth, or US tells everybody the truth, or you think any country is going to tell us 100% the truth.
But I don't know, man. I got a different moral code. Like in gambling,
it's not about
but in gambling and business, like with my friend group, like you lie one time, you welch on a debt, you do one thing.
In friendship, though,
I'm just saying, my friends, people that I know, people that I do business with, people I gamble with, like it's
the same thing I have as well. It's the same thing most people have. There's a difference between on the personal side than on the countryside. So you're America first. Is it fair to say you're America first? Okay. How do you feel about the protesting and the rioting going on in schools, academia, Harvard, you know, Columbia, when you've seen all the stuff that's going on, Free Palestine, you know, gays for Gaza, when you see that, what do you think about it? Does it do anything to you, or you're like, let me support him?
I mean, I think it's pretty funny that it wasn't a problem until it was against Israel. It wasn't a problem with BLM. It was fucking encouraged with BLM.
There's always a problem with
Bullshit.
BLM.
They fucking encouraged it. They let them burn down police stations. There was no repercussions.
Nah, I'm not talking mainstream.
No, I'm talking about our government and our media encouraged that shit. Right? They encouraged it when it was BLM. Like, they literally burnt down police stations and it was fine. The mayor came out and was like, no problem, no arrests, no big deal. We don't give a fuck.
Right.
Take down statues, destroy buildings, burn cop cars, do whatever you want to do. But the moment it was Israel, now all of a sudden,
why do you think
students
okay
get the shit beat out of them? They get arrested, they get pepper sprayed, they get fucking maced. And those are peaceful protests. BLM was not peaceful, but it was fine because it wasn't.
RCTV says, Lee, you don't agree with America First? How would I not agree with America First? I think all Americans agree with America First.
Criticizing Israel. What does that tell you?
Let me ask you a question.
Well, we'll answer that. What does that tell you? Who's in charge here?
But you're talking to a guy that I'm not sitting here saying would be. I'm talking to you like you and I. I'm not talking to you with $2-3 billion of damage they did to small business owners in communities that African Americans are living in, and who controls mainstream media. And there's only 2 outlets right now. We're talking to a couple of your friends here that were during lunchtime. We're having a conversation while we're having dinner with who controls mainstream media. The left. The only one that's on the right is one. Okay, and that's also going to the left. Who controls CNN, CBS, ABC? That's left. Who controls universities? Left. Who controls schools?
Well, it's like 90s
left.
of the.
There you go. AXB says, Dan is sharp. No apologies, no excuses. Great president.
Percent Jewish.
Right.
We could say left, but it's Jewish if we're being honest.
Not necessarily, because even right now, if you think about it, if you think about the right and the left, okay, who's taking the biggest hit with losing Jewish voters? Because most Jews vote left. They're not voting on the right.
Jewish vote is irrelevant. They're like 2% of the population.
But the money that they vote with their money.
I mean, yeah, but like at the end of the day, I think how much money goes into these campaigns isn't going to dictate as much as when you have a president that's like potentially getting assassinated. Like those are the drivers. I mean, Kamala Harris is a drunken school teacher. Like she can't even like formulate a coherent sentence. I mean, I don't know. The idea of voting for her just seems crazy. My biggest criticism of Trump is his support of Israel. I mean, aside from that, I mean,
Dan Bilzerian might be like my new favorite comedian ever. This guy's hilarious, bro. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. All super chats get answered. And we got Jared Rex saying, wouldn't it be easier if we could all just understand each other without twisting each other's words? But the truth is, we're all in silent competition, especially the P3D vampires enslaving us.
Why do you think he's supporting Israel?
because of money. That's why they all fucking support Israel. Money.
Well, you said it's not about money a minute
Island
ago.
Man Files.
Well, he wants money. I mean, these politicians are right. I mean, there's 2 reasons to run for president.
Right.
Because you're a good person and you want to do good.
Okay.
Or because you want fucking money.
Sure.
And fame.
Rudy, I can't read your comment, buddy, but maybe that's what happened. You never know, bro.
That's it. It's the only reason somebody would join president.
A good person,
or you want money and fame.
And fame.
That's it.
2 reasons why you run.
Why else would you?
Why do you think
president?
Trump's reason is?
Money and fame.
You think he wants money and fame?
100%.
You think Trump's running because he wants money and fame?
100%.
He had.
Yeah, Jason, everyone is welcome in here, buddy. We're trying to develop the best community on the internet right here.
Has money, he is famous.
He wants people to love him. He wants attention. I mean, he was doing like reality shows for Christ's sakes. Like he wants more money.
I totally get it, but you think he is more, he is.
What do you think, Chad? Do you agree with that? I don't know if I can agree with that. Obviously, he made a lot of money when he became president, but do you agree with that?
How much you think it matters for Trump to be liked?
I think he wants people to like him.
Okay,
Yeah.
So if that's the case, he should have never ran, because ever since he ran, people don't like him.
I get it. Well, I mean, but that's the fame is like that. I mean, fame is polarizing. Like,
There's a big difference.
there's very few people that become famous that don't have people hate them. I mean, it comes with the territory. Like, if you want to be loved, you're going to be hated as well. It's just, that's the way it is.
In 2014, he could have been invited to Beyonce and Jay-Z's party in 2014. In 2014, he would have been invited to, with NAACP. In 20, he went to everything. So
one thing to be invited to parties, another thing to have international status
I'm talking from
and legacy,
side.
and I mean,
so the reason why I brought the money side with Jews, so who do you think the recent event with October 7th hurt more, the left or the right, politically?
October 7th? What do you mean?
Israel, Hamas, like this whole back and forth. Which political party you think has lost more, taken a bigger hit with their position they've taken with the Jews?
I mean, they're both pro-Israel. So I don't think it's a left against the right when it comes to Israel. And that's like what people think is like, but it's just a distraction. Like they're both pro-Israel. They're both, fucking Biden's giving Israel shitloads of money. Like, what do you mean? Trump's going to give shitloads of money. Trump's going to fucking go to war with Iran. What are you talking about? They're both fucking...
You think Trump's going to go to war with Iran?
He said he's going to.
No, it's his way of saying to not go to war.
He said he's going to.
Hey, Chronics TGC on Kick. Thanks for your message, but I don't know if I can read that. If you can, put it in English, buddy. Thanks.
The same way he said with everybody else that he was going to push them. Well, more didn't happen. He said...
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he said that he was going to...
So then let me ask you, so who would you vote for today? It doesn't sound like you're voting for anybody.
I mean, if I had to choose between those two, Trump for sure. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Kamala's half a fucking retard. And she pushes, all this woke left ideology. It's just nonsense. Like, I mean, she's a fucking complete moron. Not that Trump is like a super...
Waffle has joined the chat saying Kamala was at Diddy parties. My goodness, I did not know that. My goodness. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Going live every day of 2026. Throw in a super chat. Become a member. The members get so many great things. So many great things.
Genius either, but like light years past her. I mean,
and also, what did Kamala do at the Diddy parties? There we go. Dreadwin says, so what?
She was like one of the most hated people. Like how she even got the fucking nomination, it's beyond me. Like how they didn't give it a big mic is crazy. Like
you ever heard of? You're so funny. You ever heard of eugenics?
Eugenics?
Eugenics. Eugenics. You ever heard of that? Okay. You ever seen MIT stats showing that Ashkenazi Jews IQ is the highest IQ in the world? You ever heard about that or not?
I believe it. It's up there. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the IQ studies. Yeah.
What do you think about that? The fact that they have a higher IQ. How do you process that information?
What do you mean?
You have a pretty high IQ, right?
Okay,
I mean, I don't know what the score is. I've seen some. What's this? I've read it multiple different places. What's the score you've got?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the 99th percentile when I was in 8th grade and got accepted to Duke on a scholarship.
Incredible. Good for him. We got Oi Oi saying camel toe got drunk and used. Is that what happened?
I mean, I've tested okay. I'm a smart guy.
Okay,
I get it,
but do you think the part about like, okay, I'm a Syrian and I'm Armenian, and then I'm born in Iran and I'm in living in America. Armenians, try bring them together. It's tough. They're divided. Assyrian.
I don't know about that. Go to Glendale, buddy.
No, I lived in Glendale for 6 years.
What do you mean? They're pretty. I mean, every kidding. Armenian that I ever meet is like, bro, you're Armenian. It's like, I have seen...
The pride is right.
I've seen more Armenian pride than any other.
Yeah, but you're talking, these guys are coming to you. You have different types of Armenians, right? And even right now in Armenia with what they're going through with, Pashinyan and some of the political stuff. You were there in 2018 with your brother and your dad when you guys went there and got your citizenship. But Assyrians, they're divided. It's the older, the church, the club, the this, the that. You can't unite these guys together, right? The closest thing I'll say with Jews, the level of unity that they have is Muslims and Mormons. Mormons are super united. Muslims are super united, and Jews are super united. That's one part that they have the edge. But then if you look at their IQ, and if somebody's IQ is higher, they're generally going to make better decisions in business, if that is correct, right? If IQ is correct.
So you think that 6 out of the 10 richest people in America are Jewish? You think it's just IQ related?
You think they started off with money when they started creating their wealth?
I think if you look at college admissions and you look at how many Jews get admitted versus how many whites, they lump themselves in a separate category. And 75% of college, what is it? 75% is Jewish.
Of what? Admissions?
I don't know the exact. The college executives. What Ivy League?
The number
college executives. There you go. So as far as the poll, we say, would Dan Bilzerian become a great United States president? Would he be an amazing president? He'd be the most honest president we've ever had, right? Every other politician pretends they don't have yachts and women and bags of cash. Dan Bilzerian posts it on Instagram with a filter. At least you know what you're getting, right? Most presidents lie to your face for 4 years. Dan would lie to your face and then immediately post the truth on social media with a thumbs up.
I have is, in the world, there's 267 Jewish billionaires. That's 10% of all the billionaires, while they're only 0.2% of the world, right? So that's a 5% overrepresentation. In America...
Wait, you're saying they're 2%? They're not 2% of the world, they're 0.02. If
that's why I said 0.2.
No, they're not. I think it's 0.02.
If you do 9 billion, they have roughly 15 million people.
Okay.
So 0.2% of 8 billion is like 16 million, and that's what they have.
Okay.
0.2%,
yeah, not 2%.
No, we're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. So in US, 132 Jewish billionaires out of 756. 17% of billionaires in America are Jewish. Mm-hmm. Did that happen accidental? Is that because they work together? Is that a bad thing? Is that something where, it's kind of like...
And in fairness, Dan Bilzerian has more military experience than several recent candidates, right? He attempted Navy SEAL training twice and did not finish, which coincidentally is exactly how most presidents handle foreign policy. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want. Talk to us, PBD.
Like saying, when Tom Brady was playing in the NFL, the guy was freaking hated. It's like, oh, Deflategate, or this, or they did this, or they did that.
I don't care that like 90% of sports are black or whatever the fucking statistic is. I don't give a shit if Jews have all the money. I really don't care. I don't care if they run Hollywood. Like, my issue is like culpability with the people that are pushing these fucking bullshit narratives. The media is mostly Jewish, and the media is pushing this fucking DEI.
Yeah.
They're pushing this trans bullshit.
They're
pushing that. They push the COVID fucking shit, right? So all I'm saying is I want you to be responsible for what you're in charge of. I don't care if it's the purple people in charge of the banks. Right. I don't care if it's the fucking green people in charge of the fucking media. No, but hear me out. I don't care who the fuck it is. I'm saying if the media is the green people and they're pushing COVID and they're pushing DEI, they're pushing transgenderism and they're pushing racism and they're pushing division and they're pushing a degradation of fucking moral fiber, I'm mad at the green people, right? You see what I'm saying? I don't give a shit who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
I see it in a different way.
We got user TT saying, if money buys education, what happened to ours? Great question.
Here's how I see it. So I see it as, when I'm coming up, I have my friends while, I'm in the insurance game and I'm making $100,000 a year and they would say, oh my God, look at those guys. All they care about is this and they help each other out, these different insurance companies. I'm like, yeah, how about we figure out a way to do the same? No, but they have this, and it was almost like a little bit of from a place of victimhood. Like, look what they're doing. I'm like, okay, let me continue. So I grow that, I get to the next level. I'm making a little bit more money and now I'm in different meetings. So go at every level, Dan, my experience, I may be wrong and challenge me as much as you want and say, rip it apart, the argument that I have.
Okay.
So while you're making 6 figures, you're in a room with 50 other guys making 6 figures, right? You know which guy that's at 6 figures that's going to go to $250,000, and you know which guy's going to get stuck at 100,000, and you know which guy's going to go down because he got lucky. Maybe he landed a big insurance sale that paid him $60,000. You could filter those guys out. You go to $250,000, you saw the same thing. You knew who's going to go next level, who's going to stay, who's going to go down. $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, even $1 billion on who's going to go. Like, Elon's probably not going to slow down. But between Elon and Bezos, guess who's probably going to slow down if you chose those two? You may say Bezos. They're both worth a couple $100 billion. They have more money than many countries have. But at every level, eventually somebody stops, right? And some continue at every level. This is in basketball, sports, poker, you name it. I had a big $1 million thing. I'm happy I walk away. To me, the part of it that I see when I'm talking within my community, I'm a guy that in my house, I have a 15-foot painting in my house. When you come to Florida, if you ever do, I'll show it to you. In the middle of it, you know who it is? The Shabi Ran is right in the middle of it. Guess who was the biggest against the Jewish Zion media empire. Guess who was the biggest person that called him out? Him. And what happened to him in 1979? You know what they did to him? They got rid of him in a different way. So you're not talking to a guy that is Jewish or pro this or pro that. For me, I want to see what caused them to go from where they were at to having the kind of wealth that I have today. Can that skill set be transferred to others? The part that you and I can criticize is what they do with all the power that they have today. We can criticize that all day long. You know, they run media, they run CNN, they do this, and they all tell everybody, you better say this, and you better say that. The Soros, the Bond, Bronfman, all these guys. You can criticize that all day because now you have the power. What do you do with the power? But my interest is, what caused them to get all this money? It's not like one day they woke up, they found something, and the next thing you know, they're doing this. How did they get all this power and this money that they made? Was that pure luck? Was that accidental?
I mean, depends on what field you're talking about. I mean, I think when you kind of stick together and when you BlackRock, their execs are 100% Jewish. So when you only hire Jewish people and you give them preferential treatment, I think it's natural for, your race, religion, whatever, to have a higher, success rate when you're banded together and everybody else is divided. And, it seems like America just gets more and more divided by the day. And what would make it easier to conquer a country than to divide it? It's a lot easier, that's why they say divide and conquer, right? So in order to rule a country as a small class, you want the country divided. What's happened in the last 4 years? Our country's more divided than it's ever been. It's more racist, it's more divided, it's more fucking angry, everybody's fucking pulling each other apart. And, and the same playbook is happening in the UK. So I look at what is going on in the world and I don't think it is a positive thing. And so that is where, I get upset is because...
But the question is, how did they get the power? How do you think they got their power? Because this didn't happen, just 70 years ago. They didn't have a country, whatever the timeline is when they got it, right? How did they all of a sudden go from what happens in Germany, then they get their country, then they're able to move up politically, then they're...
If Dan Bilzerian were president, you know what the White House press briefings would look like? The podium would be surrounded by models. There'd be a mountain of poker chips on the Resolute desk. And every State of the Union address would open with him rappelling down from the ceiling to maybe an AC/DC song, right? America would have a terrible foreign policy and an incredible Instagram account.
They're able to move up in media. Then they're able to move up in all these different places with finance and Wall Street. What did they do right? How did they get all this power? They have a lot of power. How did they do it?
I mean, look, I haven't studied Jewish power struggles or how they made their money or anything like that. That's not really,
But you know what I'm asking?
I do. And I don't really have a direct answer for it because I haven't studied it, so I'm not going to guess. But, I just look at this whole thing of, they're obviously doing really fucking well. I don't know why it's constantly like a victim card thing.
You think it's worth studying? You think it's worth studying to see what they did?
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm in LA, I'm with this guy named David. He owned a dealership, Jewish guy. First time in my life I saw $1 million cash. I'd never seen it before. I just come out of the army. I'm like, hey, how the hell do you guys, Jews? I grew up in Iran, so we have a lot of Persian Jews. How do you guys always make so much money? And he said the most fascinating thing. He said, when one of us makes money, 5 of us makes money.
That's cool.
Like, what does that mean? We always do business together. We always go into deals.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Would be great if Americans in general could do that together, for sure.
Together, we're always finding ways to do business together. Do you know from that moment when I was 21 years old, when I started my insurance company at 30 years old, you know why was one of the reasons we never lost the vice president of the company? And I'm in Vegas right now because I got a convention at MGM for this week with 10,000 people there. We give our guys equity. So our guys own the company. So it wasn't like it's my commission. That idea of equity came from that Jewish, dealership guy I met at 21 years old.
Listen, I get it. I mean, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if they help each other out and whatever, they band together. My issue is when they fucking put their country ahead of our country, when they're living in our country and they're politicians in our country. And I care when our country is hurt to help their country. That's what I fucking care about. I don't give a shit if they band together. I don't care if they give each other special treatment, whatever. I mean, I'd like to stop hearing about the fucking, victim card bullshit every time I fucking turn around, because they're not victims. They're crushing in every fucking category. And, and they like constantly refer to the Holocaust when they're the biggest Holocaust deniers of the fucking planet. They deny the Armenian Holocaust, which, like half of my people got wiped out, half of your people got wiped out. They deny that. So I don't think it's right for them to whine about the Holocaust and force feed every single fucking children, all the fucking children and students this fucking Holocaust narrative and hijack the entire fucking World War II and make it about the fucking Jews when like 85 million people fucking died during World War II. It wasn't all about the fucking Jews, but they make every movie about the fucking struggling Jews and how they had to fucking endure all this stuff. And yet, they can't recognize the Armenian Holocaust. We lost half our population. They didn't lose half their population, but yet we have to hear about it every fucking movie, every classroom, every museum, nonstop on every show.
Well, why though?
Why what? Why do they play the victim card so much?
So let me ask you, who made the movie about Armenian genocide?
I don't know who made it.
Did you ever watch the movie with Christian Bale?
1917?
No, not 1917. The recent one with Christian Bale. I think it's called, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. You'd love the movie. But it's called Belief or hang on, Courage, Armenian Genocide movie. What's it called? The Promise. Have you seen it? No. It's ridiculous. I'll send it to you afterwards for you to watch. But The Promise. Do you know who made The Promise?
I don't.
The owner of MGM, Krikorian. Okay, he made The Promise with Christian Bale. He put $100 million into it. The budget was $90 million. They made $12.4 million. Is what the movie did. But it's actually a very good movie. It's worth watching. But the point I'm making there is,
so allegedly with the Armenian G side, there was 75% of them extinguished, and in the Jewish HO cast, I guess I can say it that way, about 66%, maybe less. So 75% of the Armenians were extinguished, and then less than 66% of the Jewish people. Very interesting. We don't hear about that too often, do we?
An Armenian created $9 billion of wealth for himself that he could use the money to make the story, to tell the story of what really happened with the Armenian genocide.
I think you're missing the point. It's not about what they do in Hollywood with their money. It's about the fact that the government puts this in the school systems.
But why do they put it in the school systems?
Because they're controlling our fucking government.
Why do they control our government?
I don't know, because they assassinate presidents. They assassinated JFK because they have a Mossad operation at fucking Epstein Island. They get blackmailing our politicians.
We got user TT saying, notice no school teaches about the Bolsheviks. Yeah, that's a little interesting. Reason being, anybody?
They give hundreds of millions of dollars via APAC. That's why they fucking control the country.
That's his brother.
Yeah, but that's you asked the question. That's why they control the country.
But the point is,
but is that right? Like,
I'm not saying it's
just because they control it doesn't mean that it's like a pat on the back because they're doing it through fucking illegal means.
So, brother, I'm a business guy. So are you? I'm looking for solutions. What is the solution? What's your solution?
The solution for what?
To this challenge here that they're able to make all these movies, tell the stories, put in the schools, put in all this stuff.
That's not my issue. My issue is our support of Israel, and my issue is like Israel's control over our government. That's my problem. It's not these fucking movies. That's like proliferated shit. My issue is that Israel's controlling our government. They have, Mossad operations to get dirt on our politicians. They're fucking bribing our politicians. That's my problem. Okay, and they're doing it to the U.S.'s detriment. They're going to drag us into one more fucking war where we have U.S. citizens dying for fucking Israel. Yeah. As a veteran, you should not want to fucking see that.
I'm not for it.
Because Iraq was a fucking joke, and we did that because that dumb fucking Netanyahu got in front of Congress, lied out of his ass, and said there's weapons of mass destruction when everybody fucking knew there was.
We said it as well, bro.
No. It came from him.
No, it's not about it. Didn't come.
That's a good one. Oi says, kick all the lobbyists out of Washington, D.C. What would happen next?
It could have come from him, but we did it as well.
He testified in front of Congress.
I remember that.
That there was weapons of mass destruction. And it was complete fucking bullshit.
But we said it as well. But again, for me, the only thing I'm interested in, everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution? because they're going to continue making money.
Cody Ritt 1681 says, this dude is a Fed.
BlackRock's not going to slow down tomorrow
allegedly.
because we're doing this podcast, and all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, Dan Bilzerian, you make sense. Guess what? We're going to stop pushing our agenda
This
so
ain't
much.
for BlackRock. That's for the people, man. BlackRock ain't gonna change. They're gonna operate in their own self-interest. They're gonna push this fucking DEI bullshit. They're gonna force all the companies that they fund to push DEI bullshit. The only thing that the people can do is fucking push back, start boycotting this stuff, stop fucking supporting it. And, you know, you ask like what the solution is. I mean, why is Israel even an ally?
We got Ryan Dallian saying PBD is a moron with GTA barbers agreeing. There you go.
I mean, why when they shot down a civilian plane,
And Cody.
did we just say, that's fine? But when Russia did it,
You mean a ship? The
no, they shot down a commercial airliner that flew over their airspace that had civilians in it. When Russia did that, that was an act of war. Why is there a double standard?
Why do you think?
Because they control our fucking government. I said it.
But again,
Why do you think?
well, I mean, if you want to find out like what the first thing would happen for this to be stopped, again, solution oriented. If we say what's the first thing, you know what the first thing is? If we stop lobbying, half the shit stops. If the concept of lobbying stops, we had Paul Manafort on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you know who Paul Manafort is. It Paul Manafort? Anyways, we had one of the bigger lobbyists on the podcast. Him and Roger Stone started their company many, many years ago. And I said, so what do you think about lobbying? I said, do you think it's a good thing? Or do you think...
I think it encourages corruption, is what I think.
I fully agree. But you know what he said? He said the other side's doing it, so we're going to do it. So if today lobbying stopped, these guys wouldn't have the kind of power that they have today.
The whole system's broken. That's the problem. Broken, and government just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, I mean, listen, this country was founded because we didn't want to pay 1% fucking tax on tea. Don't forget that.
We were willing to fight for
1%.
that, and now
1% tax on tea. That's why we have this fucking country. Come a long way from there.
what's your point?
My point is that, you know, we should fucking stop putting up with this bullshit, and there should be fucking changes made. Like our politicians are not running our country. We think that they are. They're just not. And
You think it's ever going to change? You think the format's going to change?
I think that when we have our economic crash, that might be a catalyst. I think people are lazy, and I think they're pussies, and I don't think they're going to do jack shit until their way of life is threatened, and I think people will do something. That's what I think. But I think it'll take an economic collapse for anybody to do anything. The government's not going to initiate it, that's for sure.
Well, don't you think an economic collapse would actually benefit them? Would actually benefit the people of power to be able to give more free things during that time for where people are willing to give up even more?
They can inflate, and they will. They'll
Right.
print more fucking money. You know, but that, you know, can't go on forever. You know, this like fairy tale of just like printing and printing money, like that doesn't work. I mean, like, let me ask you this. Why do you think the quality of life now is lower than it was 50 years ago when we have all this technological innovation? We've got the ability to produce things for a lot cheaper cost. We've got the ability to mass scale. Why do you think our quality, like, where's all the money getting sucked out of? Like, where's all the money going?
If you go on 50 years, you're talking 74.
No.
So are you talking technically? You want a technical answer, or you want just a...
I'm saying where the...
All right, so your kids know exactly what happened in Nazi Germany, right? They spend 3 weeks on it every year. But the Bolsheviks extinguished tens of millions of people, and teachers treat it like a footnote. Very interesting. You finish high school knowing Anne Frank's diary front to back, but you couldn't tell me what a gulag was if your life depended on it. Very interesting. Very interesting. Great job bringing that up.
the money go? Well, how did all that money get sucked onto the economy so that, you know, we are having a shittier average quality of life than we were 50 years ago?
Well, if you're talking technically, in 1972, when Nixon took U.S. off the gold standard, shit changed because America can print as much money as they want. You couldn't when it was based off the gold standard. So the recklessness started after 72. So if you're talking that, that's that part. Because now we can just do what? Hey, you know what? What do we need to pay off? Print another $1 trillion. Print another 4 trillion, print another 6 trillion. It's okay.
Exactly.
And by the way, just so you know, the more money they print, guess who makes the money? You know what the money goes up to? The people that have businesses.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you're asking the technical question, that's where the wild, wild west started, where typically it's like, okay, hey, Dan, you know, can I get $100,000? Yeah, here's collateral. Okay, cool. I got it. $120,000 watch, shit hits the fan. I can sell this, no problem. This was gold. What's collateral now? I got you, bro. You're good.
I get it.
I'm USA. I got you. It's the fiat currency.
But like, why do we start the Fed? Why do we start the tax? Why do we get off the gold standard?
Yeah. I'm with all of it. But I'm curious what you think, because you got a smile on your face.
I already told you what I think's the problem. I said.
One thing that's kind of interesting and why this actually matters, the Bolsheviks used education itself as a weapon. Immediately after seizing power in 1917, they established a commissariat of education to systematically replace history, religion, and critical thinking with pure ideology. They knew that whoever controls the classroom controls the future. The irony that Western classrooms now casually skip their atrocities would not be lost on Lenin himself. Very interesting. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, throw in a super chat, helps the channel, and become a member. You get so many good things as a member.
Said it numerous times. I mean, our government is not being fucking controlled by the people who say they're controlling it. You know?
You seem very optimistic.
I'm not. I'm actually not very optimistic about it. Like I said, I think it's going to take an economic collapse for anything to change.
You ever read the book Fourth Turning?
No.
Yeah, the guy talks about how U.S. goes through 4 turnings every 20 years. Things change every 20 years. I had him on the podcast 2 months ago, something like that. Neil Howe is his name. And by the way, he wrote this book in 97 with a guy named William Strauss, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, they said, well, here's what happened for this 20 years. Here's what happened here. They made 5 predictions. One of them was Russia's going to invade a neighboring country, which they did. 2, they said market crash. 3, they said there's going to be a big pandemic. 4, they said something about the Tea Party. And 5, they said in 1997, they said civil war. You know, there could be a possibility of a civil war where the 2 sides can no longer get along and understand each other, where that's going to be the collapse. Not a market correction, a flat out civil war, where you're going to sit across another guy like, dude, we're never going to agree on what you're saying here. We're living in 2 different countries here. You're in La La Land. That was the prediction they made. And they said the civil war is going to be taking place somewhere between 2008 and 2028. And they wrote this in 97.
That's crazy.
They wrote it in 97. And we're kind of living in it today because, you know, the last 4 years exposed a lot. But for me, the level of optimism comes in moments where you feel like you no longer have control. This is for me. Again, not for you. I'm talking to you for myself. This is when faith plays a role to bring optimism. This is when you go back and think about with Hitler, where there was a guy named Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I don't know if you know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is. This guy was the guy that, the way Hitler was able to get what he did to Germany, he went after churches. And he feared, if you believe in God, that's the only thing he can't beat.
Etsy TV says the debt will be zeroed out soon. Is that accurate? And how will that be zeroed out?
Same thing with Russia. What's the first thing Lenin and Stalin did? It's materialism. God doesn't exist. The more you eliminate faith in people, the more I can control you. You ever seen the movie Book of Eli with Denzel?
Yeah.
Remember when he says, this one book, if I get this one book, I can control the people. I can control the people. And Denzel didn't want to give the book to the other guy because he wanted to do bad things with it rather than doing good things with it. No, man, I think hope and faith is a very valuable quality that the enemy fears.
Well, I mean, there's a full-on attack on Christianity right now, and it's being, you know, waged by the media. Did you watch the Olympics?
Of course.
fucking utter blasphemy. Like, it's just like acceptable. Like, it's
Can anyone answer Jason and Beatrice's question?
acceptable to.
Why does it bother you though?
Why does it bother me?
Because you're not a Christian, but why does it bother you?
Because it is fucking an unnecessary attack on a large majority of the world's faith for no fucking reason. Who benefits from that? Like, why is this transgender stuff just being shoved down your throat every time you fucking turn on TV? Why are we having men and women's sports? Like, it's nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. People are too scared to say anything about it.
I think people are louder today.
They're getting louder.
Yeah, because of one guy. One guy gave a platform for people to be louder. If he didn't buy
Elon
Twitter
Musk
in 2022, America's a very different America today.
Yeah.
A very different America today. And this goes back to the argument I was making to you, which for me, the argument is, I'm not surprised that Jews are making movies to say they're great. The first Titanic that was ever made was made and directed by Hitler. Do you know who the hero was in the first Titanic? A Nazi soldier. That's his job. His job is to convince us Nazis are good people. And then you watch...
Do you think Nazis are bad people?
I think depends who you ask. You ask a German, you ask somebody that was part of, that's their representation, that's their country. You think CIA is good to people in Iran? They hate the CIA.
I think the CIA is a terrorist organization. And I think that, ever since I was a little kid, I knew that Nazis were not the bad people. They were people that were born in fucking Germany that joined that army. Just like people in America joined the fucking American army. This whole idea of like a boogeyman of like all the fucking people born in Germany are just like all of a sudden homicidal killers and they're all really bad. It's just fucking nonsense. Like the idea that all Muslims are terrorists is just fucking bullshit. But that's what Hollywood keeps fucking pumping out there, is like every fucking bad guy in these movies are always these fucking jihadi terrorists, like they're always the fucking bad guy. They're not. They're a fucking quarter of the globe. Like a quarter of the globe is Muslim. They're not all fucking...
Who are you talking about, Shirley? Who are you talking about? Yeah, that's a little interesting, right? That is very interesting. And will that change with the Hollywood depiction of certain groups of people?
And bad guys and all terrorists. They're actually like a pretty peaceful religion. But like, I don't like this propaganda being like shoved.
Waffle Jackson, always welcome here, buddy. Kurt, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. Kurt says he is not a good man. You talking about Mr. Bilzerian?
Down your fucking throat all the time.
So you think, okay. So you said earlier, did you watch the Olympics opening? Great. Who do you think did it? Okay. Are you alluding to the fact that Jews were the ones that are funding the Olympics, the commercials? So because of that, they made fun of Christians?
Etsy TV, what are you talking about? I don't talk. Leet doesn't talk enough about the recent assassination attempts, and that's because secretly he thinks it was faked. I think we covered it for like 3 or 4 streams, and we stopped talking about it like a day or 2 ago.
Is that kind of where you're going? Or no, you're just saying they're mocking Christianity pure?
Are you talking about this guy? This is Patrick Bet-David. Yeah, and he's talking to Dan Bilzerian about debate, politics, and modern dating.
Yeah, I don't know who's...
Okay, I got you. I thought you were going there. No, but to me, okay.
I just don't think like on a worldwide stage, mocking a religion is acceptable.
I fully agree.
Like it's atrocious.
We got Nate Khalill jumping in on the chat saying Dan is the absolute best. There you go, buddy. We got a Dan Bilzerian supporter in the chat.
Especially like this injection of gay shit, which is just like, why? Why does everything have to be gay? Why do transgender people have to fucking read stories to children? Why do you have to have gay books talking about gay sex acts for 9-year-olds? Like when I was 9,
that should absolutely be banned, dude. Come on, dude. How are they even allowing people to think about that? That's just horrible, dude. Unreal. Who's gonna get fined for that? Who's gonna get in a lot of trouble for that? Honestly, shouldn't have talked to anyone about that at that age. Red flag, absolutely. Figure out who allowed that. What about figuring out who allowed that, and then see the real reason they allowed that, and who inspired them to do that? Horrible. Goodness gracious. We're going live every single day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, just hit that join to become a member. You got a bunch of different levels. You get so many good things, amazing things, and yeah, throw in a super chat. All super chats are read. Thank you. I need you. I love you. How you doing? It's free to think. Good to see you. Diesel says, horrible. Agreed. 100%, bro. 100%.
They didn't tell us about sex at all. You weren't in fucking puberty. Like,
100%.
Why do you have to learn about like homosexual acts when you're 9 years old? Like, it's just nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense.
W's in the chat for Mr. Bilzerian. We got to do that flame microphone. Here we go. Here it comes. Members, you get a bunch of cool emojis like these.
And who's pushing that? The fucking media. The media is pushing that. The media is saying that that's okay. So I'm not okay with that.
Neither am I. I got 4 kids. Trust me.
Yeah.
I lived in LA 24 years. I lived in Dallas 5 years. I'm in Florida because of that. So in Florida, you know, vaccines. We were talking about vaccines earlier, you and I, about, you know, whether you took the vaccine or not. Conversation you and I were having. But, you know, even in Texas, if you want to use religious exemption for your kids to not take the vaccine, even if they go to Christian school, you still have to have your kids.
That's TV says, Lee asked who allowed it when he knows the answer is Democrats allowed it. Yeah, but which Democrat? Names, receipts, buddy. First name, last name, and reason. Name and reason. Thank you for jumping in on the chat, buddy.
Just take it and show the card. You know what it is in Florida?
What's that?
You just say it, and they're like, okay, no problem. No questions.
There shouldn't be any requirement anyways. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you know, you announced you're running for office in 2015. It sounds like you're going to run again. I mean, you know, you're very firm in some of the convictions you're having. And what's interesting about it is you're going through now. So I don't know, are you a guy that reads a lot, or no, are you a big reader? Do you?
That's a TV. I could assume someone like that did it, but I don't have proof for sure. So once we get the proof, then we're talking.
Read a lot of books.
Read a little bit, not a ton. I mean,
is the interest there for you to go deeper and deeper on this topic, or is it surface level?
I'm a lot more interested in politics in general. You know, like, I mean, I'm watching what's happening in the world, and I think things are accelerating at a very rapid rate, and there's a fucking problem.
User TT says COVID was an IQ test and a lot failed. I'm doing good, Kurt. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? Thank you for jumping in on the chat. Make sure you all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat. We're developing the best community here on the internet.
You know, just like, I mean, that's why I did the fucking like whole, you know, course for guys, because I feel like there's a problem with fucking dating. Guys are doing the wrong thing. They're getting bad results. Half the guys are just quitting on dating. Like, there's some real problems in the world. So
tell us about the course you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the premise of it, is guys have bad directions. You know, they're doing the wrong thing and they're getting a bad result. Because of that, they're quitting. And nobody's really like putting out the fucking good result. In fact, they're giving them like really bad directions. Like Hollywood's giving them horrendous directions. And so because of that, you know, people have bad maps. You know, bad maps don't lead you to the right place. You're better off not to have a map. You go to the fucking gas station, you ask him, you know, where this and this is, and he tells you fucking go up the road, take a right, and then go 5 miles, take a right, go up the road 3 miles and take a left, and you'll get there. And the place is back this way. Like, you know, you're worse off for having these bad directions. And that's where I think, you know, the state of dating is guys are much worse off for having these bad directions. And, so yeah, I just kind of want to like lay out there the correct approach, because that's what I mean. Look, I dedicated a big part of my life to my sex addiction, right? So I learned a lot, and I learned a lot because I had a big sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I screwed it up with, and a large sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I also slept with. And only in cross comparing that data can you really figure out like what is effective and what's not effective. Like, if you have a bunch of girls that don't want to fuck you, you're not going to learn that much from that, you know, because like maybe they don't want to fuck you because you're Armenian, maybe they don't want to fuck you for this reason or whatever. But like when I have a large sample size of girls that for sure want to fuck me, and I know that because they sent me a DM butt naked with their asshole spread saying I want to fuck you, so it's a pretty good indicator, right? And I screwed it up. So I'm just saying, like, in cross comparing that data, I was able to figure out like what things guys are doing wrong and what things I was doing wrong. And one of the things that
if Bilzerian becomes president, this would be so hilarious, dude.
I was doing wrong, that most guys were doing wrong, is I was over communicating interest with the girls that I really liked. I was getting a bad result with the girls that I really liked, and then every other girl that I didn't care about, I was fucking and having a great relationship. They were chasing me. And what it broke down to was like the difference between pursuing and being pursued. And when you pursue something, you don't think about its flaws. You think about, how do I get it? Kind of like you're at an auction. You're not thinking about like, the flaws of this item. You're thinking about the other 5 guys that are fucking bidding on it and the loss that you're going to feel if you don't get it, right? So when you're pursuing something, you think about, how do you get it, right? So most guys are pursuing the girl. And what that does is put the girl in a position of, I know I can have this guy. Do I want him? When you're in that position, it's like when somebody's trying to sell you something, when somebody's trying to pitch you a fucking idea, and I bet you get pitched all the fucking time. You get a lot of money, so sure you get pitched. When somebody fucking pitches you, the first things that you think about is what's wrong with this fucking deal. But if you want to get involved in a deal and the fucking round is closing and 9 fucking of your best buddies just got in there, you're gonna be a lot less fucking worried about what's wrong with that fucking deal. You're gonna be more worried about how the fuck do you get in it. You're gonna trust that they did the fucking due diligence, right? The same thing is true with pre-selection with men and women. And there's just a lot of these concepts that guys are just completely fucking unaware of. And so I wanted to lay out a foundation of like the things that they're doing wrong, the things that they should be fucking doing, and an understanding of the psychology of like why these things work, why these things don't work, why this is bad, why small things have a fucking massive downstream negative effect. And and then the power struggle in relationships. I see a lot of guys in these relationships and they're just constantly making these concessions, and then eventually like these things become expected and not appreciated. The woman has way too much fucking power, doesn't respect the guy, and then ends up cheating on him. And I know, because I was the guy that they fucking cheated on with all the time, and I would hear these fucking girls, and the story it always started with, he was such a nice guy, but such a nice guy, but and then it's like, say that she fucking cheats on him, and it always starts like that. And I think a lot of guys think that because in business or because with friendships, they put in a lot of this effort, and that effort is rewarded with a promotion or a fucking raise or whatever in jobs. And in friendships, your buddy has your back in a fucking fight, shows up fucking 2 a.m. to help you out, like you're gonna have his back in the future. So positive correlation with this effort. However, in a relationship, that positive correlation, is not fucking there. It's actually a negative correlation. The more effort that you put in before you've had sex with a girl, the more you actually get punished for that. And so this is something that like is not intuitive, because in your life experience, it's been the opposite. That's why a lot of successful guys actually have a lot harder time with these girls. And my broke friends actually get more pussy than my rich friends. And my rich friends actually a lot of times use their money to their detriment instead of to help them, because money is a very powerful tool, as you know, with a lot of things in life. And also it can be with women, but most guys implement it incorrectly. So anyway, that was one of my passion projects. I enjoy helping people, and that was like one of the things that I've realized was like I got more enjoyment from helping somebody else out than I did buying myself a Ferrari or whatever the fuck car of the week I wanted to get, and I focused the time on that. And while I was doing that, I happened to fucking start noticing these fucking politics, and I got to a point in my life where I feel like I've gotten more than I was ever probably fucking deserving of. And so I just am at a place where I just feel like I should fucking do the right thing, whatever the cost. And so that was why I have been going hard on this Israel to my fucking financial and personal detriment. But whatever, man, it's the fucking right thing. So that's what I'm going to do.
I love it. Brother, this has been great. Really enjoyed it. And looking forward to seeing what you do next, man. And by the way, we're going to put the link below to the whole academy you're talking about. Cool. We'll put it below for people to be able to see it. We appreciate you. This is fantastic.
Likewise.
Thank you.
That's cool. That's Mr. Bilzerian, man. He's a pretty inspiring guy. He's definitely inspiring. And outspoken, very, very outspoken, which could be both a good thing and a bad thing, depending on who you ask and what the deal is. But I think what's happening here is we have more of a second view of this interview, which is a little interesting as well. Cool fish tank back there, right?
Dan Bilzerian joins me now.
There's Dan Bilzerian right there.
Dan, first I just want to...
And what do you guys think about this new format? How's this new format for you guys? You enjoying it? We got one on the desktop, one on the verticals. And by the way, we're going live every single day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Please, if you're feeling like it, add a super chat. And if you want, become a member. It's amazing. You're going to love it.
just want to give you a platform here. If there's anything you want to say in response to that clip, because obviously they tried to clip that out to make you look bad. They didn't get you a clip of the policy arguments. They didn't get you a clip on the issue with dual loyalty. They go with the clip like that, which is viral, but I think it made you look good, quite frankly. I think you come out looking good in that, not them. But is there anything in the aftermath of that you're like, hold on a second, I need to clarify some of the things that were said and some of the things that weren't said?
Not really. I mean, I thought it was kind of a ridiculous interview. I will say, though, they did go twice as hard on Randy after I think they saw like 97% of their comments across 5 platforms were all in support of me. So I don't know if that was because they wanted me back on there or because they knew that their audience was, on my side, but they definitely roasted him pretty good.
Isn't it funny, though? Oh, wow, I didn't realize Randy Fine was an Islamophobe. I didn't realize Randy Fine was a bigot. Doesn't that prove the double standard? Because to me, that's kind of what got lost in the conversation, was that you were simply putting out a double standard. You were exposing the double standard. It didn't even register to them. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we didn't even know Randy Fine was a bigot. It's like, isn't that the point? Like,
that's exactly it. It's the hypocrisy of, you can't say anything about Jews, but you can just blast Muslims. You got Bill Maher going on national television saying that Islam is the motherlode of bad idea.
Interesting. So we have no 75% saying Dan Bilzerian would not be a great president. And we have 25% in the chat saying, yes, he would be a great president.
And that's kind of where we're at in this country, is there's a massive double standard. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, I think that Jews are causing a disproportionate amount of problems in the United States. And I think that Jewish supremacy is the greatest threat to the world. Then
we have no 67% saying Dan Bilzerian will not be a good president for the United States, with 33% saying yes, he would. There you go.
Today. And I'm not going to dance around that issue. That's just the facts. So, if they want to come up with made up words like anti-Semite, which
we got Ashley J. Williams saying DB is a complete idiot. There you go. Do you have a personal experience with him? Do you know him personally? Also, he's a criminal scumbag. There you go. How's he a criminal? Thank you for your chat. Make sure you all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat. We're developing the best community here on the internet.
Which, like I said, it's a completely nonsensical word. I mean, the Arabs are the actual. I mean, if we're actually talking about anti-Semitism, then you would say that Israel is the most anti-Semitic place on the planet because they're conducting a genocide against Semites. But the problem is they've weaponized the word, and they've used the word solely to focus on, Jewish victimhood, which is pretty much non-existent. But they use that card like they use the Holocaust over and over and over and over again. And I think we're just tired of hearing it, like I'm just done.
Ashley says money laundering, fraud, that's just scratching the surface. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you to about 21% of my audience, which happens to be female. It seems like you might be a female over there. Welcome into the chat.
Done with it.
We got Kurt LSU saying he is a scumbag. I wouldn't want my kids around him.
I don't want to hear the word anymore. The reason that I spent so much time clarifying is because I think it's important for people to understand that this isn't like some word that's existed for a long time. This is kind of something that they came up with to, it's like a canard or a trope or all these fucking words that Jews have to describe blood libel, whatever it is, to describe things that they are actually guilty of, but they name it, something else, or they come up with a word that sounds really bad and they just say it over and over and over and over again, like anti-Semite.
Hugh has joined the chat. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you. And we got Ashley saying, but hey, he is your friend. You're saying he's my friend? Would be cool to interview him. Would be very cool. If you know him, let him know that. Elite Plans wants to interview him.
Right. And for a while, when we believe this Jewish victim narrative, the word had a lot of power, but now we're seeing it so overused. And when it's, any kind of a criticism of Israel is now anti-Semitic, and it's anti-Semitic to, want pedophiles to be brought to justice, and it's anti-Semitic.
Is it? That'd be a great poll, but I don't even think we can run that poll. Goodness gracious.
Semitic to want to stop a genocide. It's just like, fuck off. Like at this point, like that word is it's just nonsense. And I'm not going to, give it any credibility by saying, yes, I'm anti-Semitic, or no, I'm not anti. It's just nonsense. Like the word is just complete horseshit.
Well, and it's woke in its presentation. It's woke in the effectiveness that they want it to have. You are running as a Republican, correct?
Yes.
So the reason why I asked this is because let's come at it through the left-right paradigm here for a second. Even though I think both of us would probably agree the left-right paradigm is kind of useless right now, but it is still there. So the reason why I come at this from the right is there's a conversation that we have on the right that people from the left will come out and say, oh, that's racist. I'm talking about crime rates and demographics and per capita. This is a conversation that happens all the time on the right. And you talk about how the majority of crimes per capita are committed in America by black people. Now, on the right, you're allowed to have this conversation. You're allowed to talk about it, look at the numbers. And if the liberal Democrat comes out and says, oh, that's racist, you say, now, hold on a second. These are facts. These are factual things that we're talking about here. A certain demographic committing the vast majority of the crime. These are facts. You say, oh, well, that's not racist. That's a fact. The left says it's racist. Okay, so now we're on the right side of the angle. You just said something about Jews that people are going to freak out about. And I just say, well, hold on a second. If you're willing to talk about an issue and say, here's a demographic, connection to this issue, why can't you do the thing on the right? So if you come out and you say, I think that there is an disproportionate amount of Jewish influence or Jewish money or Jewish power or lobbying in American politics, why is that racist? Because that's really the word, anti-Semite.
Is it our word? What do you guys think about that? Is it our word? Just curious. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We're going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat.
Right, we'll get back into that in a second. They're really just calling you racist. So how come if you're on the right, I'm looking for some logical consistency here. How come you're allowed to talk about demographics and trends when it comes to crime statistics, but you're not allowed to talk about it if you're talking about political influence and a different demographic? To me, there's an inconsistent.
We got Esnar jumping out in the chat saying equal bigotry for all, not the solution, bub.
Consistency there.
Well, let me just zoom out and solve that equation for you. It is because all of this is coming from the people that are in control. You cannot criticize the people that are in power. And this whole thing of wokeness, like, yes, that's a problem, but it is only attributed to the left. And that is what is coming from the Jewish media. The Jewish media is who feeds the left these talking points. They are the ones that are making the left crazy. The left is just following. They're just following the narrative. They're just following what CNN tells them. They're just following what Hollywood tells them. And so what you have is you have the right looking at the left like, oh, these are a bunch of crazy people. And I think it's just bad programming. So I don't get mad at the left. I get mad at the people that are feeding the left their talking points. And you ask why you can't criticize Jews is because they are the ones that are actually controlling all of this. That's why it doesn't matter if you vote Democrat or you vote Republican, you still get, $100 billion sent to Israel, $100 billion sent to Ukraine, whatever. Like, you still are supporting these Jewish causes because at the end of the day, those are the people that are actually pulling the string. So if we want to talk about the real crux of the problem, it's Jewish supremacy. It's not a left versus right. It's not a Christian versus Muslim. It's not white versus black. It is Jew versus Gentile. And I know that that's going to be, this crazy thing that you can't fucking say, but I'm tired of dancing around the issue.
I want to give you an opportunity to clarify what I think you were trying to get to before you were interrupted during that interview, which it's really so funny to. Honestly, Dan, I'll admit maybe I'm a little biased because you and I have conversations. I don't talk to the boys over there at TMZ, but to me, you came off as much more well-rounded and understood. They kind of came off like beta cucks during that interview. but they were interrupting you, and you didn't really get this point across, and you were trying to explain how, hey, you guys are okay with Randy Fine being Islamophobic. Nobody's calling for Randy Fine to be removed from office, or he's too bigoted, or he's too racist when he bashes Muslims all day. But all of a sudden you offer one criticism of Jewish people, and now all of a sudden you can't run, you're a bigot, you're not qualified. It's like, that's the double standard that you were trying to explain. I don't even think it registered with them, though, Dan. It's like they were too low IQ to even understand what you were saying. And maybe that's because they were ignorant, as you were pointing out. Once they found out, okay, there is something there, they came around. How much of this, how much of what your campaign is going to do, how much of it is it about breaking down those?
Oh my goodness. Check this one out. Zach3540 jumping in on the chat saying, to learn who controls you, find out who you are not allowed to criticize, from none other than Voltaire. Very awesome chat. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, help support this channel. Talk to us, Dan Bilzerian. Talk to us.
Walls and getting some logical consistency so that people can see the whole spectrum of conversation and not just the limited spectrum they want us to see.
I mean, that's a part of it, but I want to get in there and shake the motherfucking tree. I want to dismantle the Fed. I want to get rid of the IRS. I want to get rid of the ATF. Like, I want to shrink government. I want to prosecute anybody for treason that has that's serving an office that has more allegiance to a foreign country than the U.S.
There you go.
I want to really enact change. I don't want to just like say this stupid bullshit talking points that the Republicans say on their side, and the left reads all their little fucking bullshit, and then nothing ever changes, nothing ever happens. Like, I want to get in there and actually really throw a fucking grenade in the toilet. Like, I want change.
Did he actually say get rid of the IRS, Ryan Dallion?
This government to stop operating in the best interest of a foreign nation. I want this government to focus on the United States. Like, I want an actual America first. I want all the things that Trump promised us and then just completely fucking rug pulled and lied to us about. That's what I want. And I also want to enact laws to where if you say that you're going to do something when you get in office and you just fucking lie to everybody and then do the opposite, I think you should be prosecuted for that. And I think you should be impeached for that. I think that there should be actual culpability with what you say. Like, I think if you're going to make a promise, you're going to run on something and you don't do it, you should be fucking held accountable for that. And I just think that's what this country is lacking is.
There you go. Yes, Dan Bilzerian has publicly stated his desire to eliminate the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, as part of his 2026 campaign for a Florida congressional seat. He has proposed abolishing the agency along with the Federal Reserve and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also known as ATF.
Is accountability.
Well, that is a message that is going to be very popular. That's a message that's going to resonate with a bunch of people. And that's why the only angle they're going to have against you is this claim of anti-Semite, which, you kind of addressed one angle of it when you were doing that interview. The other angle that I think is, it kind of proves that it's a weaponized word is really all you're saying is racist. That's all you're saying is it's racist. You're calling somebody a racist is what you're doing, but they've used this word anti-Semite like a weapon. So it's like, oh, no, that's a special racism. That's like a special. Exactly. It's like extra racism is anti-Semitic. So,
yeah, exactly. They've weaponized the word, just like, Nazi and all these things where it just has like such a strong connotation because they've baked in all this propaganda for years and years and years that when you hear these words, it's like, oh, you freeze in your tracks. And that's what Jews have been doing. They've been conditioning us that they're victims and that you can't criticize them. And if you do, you're the biggest scum of the earth. And, the Holocaust and anti-Semitism and trope and blood libel. And it's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm done hearing about all this shit while at the same time, you go and vilify all Muslims, say they're all fucking terrorists, say, Sharia law is coming to America. It's just bullshit. It's just absolute bullshit. The greatest threat to America is Jewish supremacy, and it's not fucking Islamification. There's less than 1% of America's Muslim. They're the least thing that we should be worried about. And, let me clarify this, because I know that, it's just frustrating that you always have to say this, but there's people that just cannot wrap their hands around not every Jew is bad, but Jews can also be causing problems. So just because you know one good Jew doesn't mean that Jews aren't causing problems. Just like if I were to tell you that Asians are short and you say, oh no, but I know a tall Asian. Okay, motherfucker, Asians are still short. You know a tall Asian, great. And my point is that all Jews do not have to be bad for Jews to be causing problems. And that's what I'm trying to say. Just like, there's definitely Muslims that are causing problems. But to say that all Muslims are bad is just an ignorant statement.
Well, that's why I use the juxtaposition when it comes to commentary on the right about, crime rates or demographics or specifically, let's say, issues in Black America's culture. The right has no problem discussing these things as an issue and talking about race, but it's like, oh, you're not allowed to do that about a different race or about a different religion than Islam. And so that to me is the double standard that needs to be broken down here. And I think that I think it's happening, Dan. It's really just a matter of getting it to the mainstream, obviously, where it's been rejected.
Let's talk about that for a second. What is the ultimate purpose of that? What is the ultimate purpose of saying, if a cop kills a black guy, it's racism? If, something happens to a Jew, it's anti-Semitism. But then if something happens to a white person, whatever. You stab this poor innocent Ukrainian girl on the subway. Nobody helps her. Nobody gives a fuck. This guy's going to get off, But if that was a black girl, if that was a Jewish person, it would be hands across America.
Yeah,
would be posting black squares, would be going crazy, would be burning down fucking police stations. So what actually is this? I'll explain it. It's very simple. It's an attack on whites. That's what it is, plain and simple. And that's coming from the Jewish community. And you see it over and over when they say, kill a white person today. Or they tweet some crazy, vile thing against whites. And then 20 tweets later, it's like, oh, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. How many times have we seen that? And so you look at where all this white hate is coming from.
Wild.
Who's pushing all the NGOs that are funding open borders? Who's pushing this melting pot idea? All of that is basically an attack on whites. It's not an attack on blacks. It's not an attack on Jews. Who does that ultimately hurt? Who does DEI hurt? All these things are focused.
There we go. Train girls' lives matter. That's right. TGLM from user T590. Thank you for the chat, buddy.
To basically undermine white people. And, and nobody wants to talk about that because you say that and you're a white supremacist. There's all these stupid labels. But it's just calling a spade, and I'm tired of dancing around issues. I'm tired of pretending, that we can't, just like, they have the N word, if you say that, it's this crazy thing, but you can say spick, it's not the S word, you can say cracker, it's not the C word.
There you go.
What they do is they create this, this victim narrative that, they show, oh, well, blacks are perpetual victims and Jews are victims. So if they're a part of a victim category, all of a sudden they get special treatment. You can't talk about them. You can't criticize them. They don't give a fuck about black people. They just use blacks so that they can also inherit all those victim category rights. And the funny thing is the whole thing of one of the reasons why I think blacks, are kind of being violent against whites is because of this whole slave narrative that's been pushed and pushed and pushed. The funny thing is that when you actually dive into it, you realize that Jews were disproportionately responsible for the slave trade. And they shut the slave trade down on all Jewish holidays because not enough people would show up, to the auction. So, Malcolm X talked about this. It's one of these things where...
That's wild. Did you guys know about that? I did not know about that. Very, very interesting. Yo, Panzer. Thank you, buddy. Happy to have you on board. There you go. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We're going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat. Helps the channel. I love you. We're developing the best community in the world. The Lord loves you. Everybody loves you.
You have to really question things that they tell you cannot talk about.
it was hilarious in that interview, and you called them out on this, and they quickly, I think, backed down because they realized how ridiculous it was, and then they went on to, I'm sure you heard the shock. Oh my, he said the N-word. Oh, it was like the whole TMZ studio went into a conniption fit, like they're all children. And that's really what got exposed, is it really is an immature mindset here. And it was so great the way you phrased it. It's like, are we not adults? Can we not have a conversation?
It's not racist to say a word. And I also think it's important to say these words because it removes, the stigma. It removes the shock, here's the bottom line. Everybody's fucking equal. Nobody's better than anybody else. And if you actually want to end racism, which they don't, by the way, they don't want to end racism, but if they actually wanted to end racism, they would accept the fact that everybody's equal. You don't need to put people in victim categories. You can't have blacks say, heinous things about whites, or Jews say heinous things about whites, but then you can't say things about them. It would be no double standards. Everybody's equal. That's the only thing that works. When you try and say, oh, well, a black guy can say nigga, but a white guy can't, or if you say the hard R, it's just all these nonsensical things. Like, just shut the fuck up. It's words. When I grew up, if there was a word that could trigger you, that could get under your skin, everybody would fucking say it to you. And that went for my high school, that went
Yo, Michael, sorry, buddy, didn't see your chat. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
for the military. I don't give a fuck what race, what religion you were. You better have thick skin. And we've lost that, and now today, everybody's so sensitive and they're so triggered, and a word is just going to get them to fucking fight people. Meanwhile, our fucking politicians are fucking children. We're paying to bomb children's schools, and nobody's focused.
That's wild. That's so wild. Does anyone have a reason that bomb went to a children's school?
On that, but if you say a word, people lose their fucking minds. That tells me that there has been.
Hugh, how you doing, buddy? My ninja! Exclamation mark. Can you explain that to me?
Propaganda, programming that is not conducive to logical thinking. And that's the problem today, is like everybody is like so ingrained in this propaganda, and you have to think this, and you can't say this, and you can't do this, and it's just fucking bullshit. You need to zoom out, and you need to analyze things for yourself. That was what COVID was about. It's like, no, you have to, trust the science, take the jab. If you don't do it, we're going to fire you. We're going to ostracize you. We're going to paint you as a fucking crazy person. You're putting other people in danger. It was all bullshit. And that came from the government. So to me, when people lie to me over and over and over again, I stop trusting them. And I just think there needs to be some real fucking accountability with politicians and with the government. The government should never lie to you. Ever.
That'd be cool.
Ever. The government is supposed to serve the people, not fucking manipulate the people. They are there.
Ninja99 says, "What's up, my ninja?" I say that all the time. There you go. That was one of my to-dos as a child. I always wanted to be a ninja. And one year I was a ninja for Halloween.
Politicians are there to serve the country, not to have the country serve them. And that's what we have right now. We've got the people, serving the government. The government is basically taking advantage of the people. People in political office are,
And as Velt, thank you, buddy. Thank you for noticing.
They're using the system to get rich at the people's expense, and that shit needs to fucking stop.
And it looks like our guy Trump may be the worst offender of it. And if
my fucking guy,
if logic,
Etsy TV, thank you for the correction. He says, or she says, it was not a bomb. It was a tomahawk missile. There you go.
If logic can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. And that's what you exposed in that conversation. But what was even crazier is when they tried to claim that Jew, they were accusing you. They said that Jew was also a racial slur, which of course that's news to everybody. I didn't know that, but okay. So then they say, oh, Jew is a racial slur. Meanwhile, he's saying Jew this, Jew that, it's Jew all day long. They don't censor any of that. But they did censor one word, Dan. They did bleep one word, and it wasn't Jew.
I mean, it's just nonsense. Everybody saw through it. The beauty is, that people are awake to this shit, and you see that in the comments. Like, if you look across their 5 platforms, it's like 95% of the comments are on my side, which is probably one of the reasons why they roasted Randy so bad and exposed the double standard. You know, and that gives me hope, right? It gives me hope that people are finally kind of like waking up to what's going on. I just hope that's reflective of most of America. My fear is that the young people know what's going on, but the older people that are actually casting the votes don't. You know, those are the people that are kind of like still plugged into to Fox News and still kind of like, you know, buying the propaganda. And so, you know, the real question with this election is going to be, can we mobilize the youth to actually fucking do something, to stop being lazy, to get off their fucking TikTok and to go cast some votes and to go actually have a say. And I think my running might change that. I think people like me running, like the Marine McGinnis, you know, he's actually running for Senate. He's a great guy. And people like that, I think, might pull out some of these young voters. Because, you know, before this, I mean, what was it? It was fucking Hillary, you know, it's Hillary Clinton, it's fucking, you know, it's Biden, it's Trump, it's Kamala Harris. It's like, you never even have a fucking good choice. It's like, what is it, bad or worse, you know?
No.
But I think if people that are coming into office for the right reasons start running, I think then people will stop being so black-pilled. They'll feel like they can actually do something.
Well, I do think that your race is going to be one of a couple in this midterm election cycle that we're going to get an idea of where that's at. And when you talk about the youth vote, I do think, because it's always going to be a numbers game, I think that we're on the cusp. You talk about the generational gap in politics. I do think we're on the cusp. I don't know if it'll be the midterms or 2032, or rather 2028, I guess I should say. I don't know if it'll be the midterms 2026 or the presidential 2028, but one of those two elections, we're going to see what we would normally consider the youth versus the boomer class, let's say. We're about to overwhelm them by the numbers. I think that this is going to become a political reality. I don't know if it's going to be this election cycle or the next, but that is an inevitability. That's just a numbers game. That's just a timeline. And so once we cross that threshold, because I'm sure you've seen, the only people that are clinging to this foreign policy, let's be specific, the only people that are clinging to this unpopular foreign policy are right-wing boomers. That's it. The left wing is totally abandoned. They're out of the Middle East foreign policy completely. And now the young
politicians aren't, though. That's the problem. Their fucking politicians aren't. And I think that's one of the big eye-openers that, you know, the left is going to see is like, this is clearly a very important issue for them. And their politicians are not representing them. You know, the politicians are still, you know, funding fucking Israel. They're still signing the bills. You know, the right and the left can't agree on anything, but they can agree to support Israel. So, and this is something that I feel like the left and the right, the voting class, can agree in the other direction. So I think that disparity tells you everything you need to know. Like, we are not being represented. And when it's, you know, and when people wake up to the fact that, you know, getting Democrats in there, getting Republicans in there is not going to solve the problem, I think they're going to zoom out and start looking at like, who's actually responsible for this? Who's actually controlling the country? Because it isn't a left versus right anymore.
What is it going to take to force Randy Fine and you onto the debate stage? Because you know he's going to try to hide. He's going to try to avoid it at all costs.
I don't know. I don't think he's going to do it. He's actually pretty well spoken. I was impressed with how he did on that TMZ interview. I mean, they provided really damning evidence. You know, he talks and acts like a politician. But man, they went after him, you know, and he didn't have, he didn't have great rebuttals. I mean, you know, the biggest thing that he was saying is like, oh, well, Dan's a dual citizen and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I'm actually not. I have 3 citizenships. I have, you know, I don't even know what you would call a tri-citizen, whatever. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't that.
Doesn't he want to get rid of dual citizens or people who have citizenship to another country? Or is it the people that would rather protect a country before protecting the United States or going for the United States interests?
I have a passport from St. Kitts so I can travel easier if I wanted to go into, places that require a visa. And the problem isn't that I have a passport, where I could go into Armenia, because Armenia and St. Kitts have no influence in our foreign policy whatsoever. We don't fund them. We don't do anything for them. They're not even a thought. But the real problem lies in 35 members of our Congress are Jews, and anybody that's a Jew can go to Israel and get citizenship just because they're a Jew. They can also flee the country when they molest children and they have charges against them, and Israel won't extradite them. So that's the real threat, because when you have Jews in Congress, whether they're citizens or not, they can get a citizenship tomorrow. They get a citizenship today. So, and many of them have it and they're not disclosing it. So I think what you should have is you should have a forced disclosure. If you have multiple citizenships, you should have to disclose that. And that should take you out of having the ability to vote on any issues involving that country. Randy Fine should not be able to vote on anything concerning, on anything concerning Israel. And he certainly shouldn't be able to walk around and fucking vote for other people like he's done in the past. But that is the threat. The threat is having Jews in Congress that have more allegiance to Israel than they do to America, and voting and enacting laws to this country's detriment. And to me, that's treason. And that's what we need to fucking crack down on.
And by the way, Randy Fine would say that exact same thing, except aim it at Muslims. And so if you're allowed to hold that.
Well, I mean, what do we have? 3, 4 fucking Muslims in all of Congress? Like, what was this idea that Muslims are a threat to us or they're a problem? It's just complete fucking bullshit. The only ones that would be a threat are the ones that came across the border illegally because they decided to flood our country with the worst possible, candidates, right? Because anybody that's going to do it legal, you're going to make them wait 8 years. They got to, go through all this paperwork. But if you want to swim across the border with a fucking pistol and a pocket full of drugs, come on in. You want to fucking come over here from a war-torn country where the U.S. funded the bombing of your fucking relatives? Come on in, no problem. And then can you blame those people if they're fucking angry at America? If they're angry because...
Plenty of valid points there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. If you start hurting people, of course, every action has a reaction. And those people looking for revenge against a country, those are definitely the people to be afraid of. But would they just try to attack the United States for no reason if the United States had no involvement in these situations? That's another question. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, help us reach our goals.
Because of our support of Israel, so that's kind of the issue. It's not the people that are coming in here legally. And, and Trump was talking about, I'm going to deport, blah, blah. It was all performative. What did they end up doing? They ended up shooting some fucking U.S. citizens. They didn't even deport 1 million so far. They've been at this for it's just nonsense. Like, it's just a bunch of empty promises. But yes, I mean, if you want to talk about actually doing something, you should be deporting all the people that came in here illegally. And if you want to let people in this country, fine, just have them go through a process, or else what's even the fucking point of having a passport? Why even have border checks? Like, what I mean? It's just, all you're doing is inconveniencing everybody that's doing it the right way.
Or why have any laws? It's like, why should I abide by any laws if we have a wide open border and anybody can come in here and get welfare, by the way? So I'm sure you're gonna see some of this as you get more into the weeds of this race. Randy Fine, I don't know if it's still there, but Randy Fine for a while had an Israeli flag in his office. He's trying to distance himself like, I'm not a citizen of Israel. He not only had an Israeli flag in his office, he violated the U.S. flag code. He had it higher than the U.S. flag. And when you see Fine coming out and saying, I proposed the bill against dual citizenship. I'm proposing bills against dual loyalties. Hold on a second. Thomas Massie proposed those bills a year ago and Fine voted against them. So Randy Fine voted against the bill when it was Massie and then reintroduced it as his own like it was his idea.
It's all bullshit, man. It's all bullshit. He's Jew first, Israel second, and America fucking last.
User TT, no to Big Mike. Who is Big Mike? Who are you referring to when you say Big Mike? I heard Mr. Dan Bilzerian say Big Mike as well.
And it's not going to change. And most of these Jews are like that.
Thank
You
you,
look
Kurt.
at all the top neocons, it's like 90-something% of all the neocons are all fucking Jewish. All the people that are pushing us to go into these foreign wars are disproportionately Jewish. Yet the people enlisting in our actual military, they're massively underrepresented. So they want to push, American Christians to go fucking die in foreign wars to benefit Israel. But in the meantime, they're not putting any boots on the ground from Israel, and they're not joining our fucking military.
Mike Obama, America first or get out. There you go, dude. Mike Obama.
Either. Did you know the top 5 countries that we fund, Israel's number 1? And did you know out of all 5 of those, 4 of them have sent us troops to help, assist in war efforts? The only one that hasn't is fucking Israel. So how is it that the country that we've given the most aid has given us...
Smoke 270 saying, what about Ilhan Omar putting Somalia first? Yeah, Somalia first for Ilhan Omar. From $30 million a year to only $100,000 a year. What a weird situation. Smoke 270, appreciate it, bro. Got it. We got a lover in the chat, Etsy TV. Thank you. Appreciate it. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat so you can get some amazing data like we do in this chat right now, developing the best community on the internet.
That's the least amount of support. How does that make sense?
The only sense I could even begin to fathom is, one,
The Ellen video with Michelle Obama.
the reason why our politics get slanted to such a degree is blackmail, right? I mean, there's just blackmail, whether it's Epstein stuff or whether it's financial.
Yeah, let's go Israel.
Stuff. But then 2, and I know you're familiar with this.
Michelle dancing on Ellen's show, her giant. Oh, bro.
You're a military guy. You understand military tactics. The Israeli military operates totally differently than any other military on earth. And they love to make this claim about they're the most moral. That's extremely debatable, if not outright ridiculous. But as you know, what the Israeli military does differently, and this is why I don't think they join the U.S. military, the American Jews would rather serve in the IDF than they would the American.
Sorry, y'all. We got to check this out. It's a little weird what happened to this guy and then a few of Ellen DeGeneres' ex, right? Doing some of that hip thrusting or what, dude? What's going on? What is going on? Is this a good time to put these in here? Packing that type of stuff, y'all. I don't think she's packing that.
Military. That's because what the IDF does is...
Don't get her around or else it's a sword fight. There you go. Always trying to find the truth. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We're going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat.
They go and just bomb everything. The first thing they do is a
dude in white pants trying so hard.
military demolition. We saw it in Gaza. We're seeing it in Lebanon. So they just annihilate everything before they
I can't say that.
they send any boots on the ground. And I guess you could make the argument it's the lowest chance of having any casualties in your military, and I guess maybe that's their argument here. But that's what they do. They don't put their people in harm's way. They're not going boots on the ground. They're not looking for the bad guys and risking their lives. They're gonna. Here's an apartment building. There's one guy in it. There might be 100 other people. Just bring down the whole building. Screw them.
They don't give a shit if there's one guy in there or not. They want to destroy all of Gaza. They have done it. They've destroyed every single working hospital. They've bombed every church. They've bombed like 90-something% of all the schools. This is not a humanitarian effort. They've used human shields, literally strapped Palestinians to the front of their fucking tanks, sent them in when they're clearing buildings, pushed them through the fucking door. They've used human shields by every definition of the word. And in fact, if you look at Haaretz, I mean, they've done multiple articles of this. So they don't even deny it.
Smoke 270. Happy to have you on board, buddy.
I would say that they are one of the least moral armies. They've targeted children. I mean, how many doctors have come forward and said that, all these children have been sniped in the head, I was in the military. I went through, a bunch of fucking SEAL training. We shot a bunch of guns. I went through some sniper training, and there's no version of you looking through a high power scope and not being able to tell whether or not you're shooting a fucking child. You don't take a shot until you are 100% sure of what you are shooting and what is behind the shot that you're taking. So this idea that a sniper could accidentally shoot a child is just complete fucking nonsense. These guys are looking through 30 power optics. They're seeing the fucking, the amount of hairs on that person's face. So when a sniper deliberately shoots a child in the head or in the heart over and over and over and over again, and you've got doctors testifying to this, I think you have a real problem, and I think the problem comes in that they think that they're better than everybody else. They've got a religion of supremacy, and they're trying to remove all the, legitimate Palestinians from that land. They want a greater Israel. They're not, being too shy about it. They've invaded Lebanon. They're trying to take fucking land. These are war crimes. You're not allowed to forcefully take land. We established that, and they don't give a shit. They don't want peace. They just want to take more land, and they're using us as a pawn to accomplish their objectives. And I think everybody's kind of getting wise to this.
Yeah, not just getting wise to it, but getting very upset about it, to say the least. And I guess if you were going to want to harvest some organs, the headshot would be the way, Dan?
Well, I mean, they've talked about, they have, like the largest skin bank, it's like they talk about, they've, harvested tons of Palestinian organs, their skin, the whole thing. Israelis don't do that. So, yeah, I mean, their whole society is a problem. It's sick. I mean, you see what they're doing on the, West Bank, and none of that can be attributed to Hamas. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. Now it's come out that Israel has, been the one funding Hamas. They created it. So it's like, everything they said was bullshit. They allowed October 7th to happen so they could point to that. They killed their own citizens during October 7th to make the numbers higher, and it's a very sick society. And
here's the hurdle. Here's the hurdle, Dan, and I know you know this, but so people understand if they're hearing this and they're just like floored by it. The hurdle is none of this gets covered in Western media. That's the problem. Many of the things that you've claimed here have been testified by the IDF in front of the Knesset. Many IDF members have come forward and said the exact same things that you've said, and this does get covered in Israeli media. They've got a dual type of media, just like we do with the left-right paradigm. They've got people against Netanyahu, pro-Netanyahu. None of this makes it to our country, Dan. That's the problem.
It's starting to on Twitter. You've got members of the IDF, coming on record saying that, their commander saw a 4-year-old child playing in the backyard. He went over there, broke his arm, broke his leg, and then stomped him to death in front of the entire unit. And he told them that, you have to kill them young so they don't become terrorists. I mean, this was testified by an IDF soldier. This is in their, their publication. This is like their newspaper putting this story out. So it's not like somebody doing a hit job on them. They're reporting from within. And, that kind of goes to my point of not every Jew is bad. There's clearly, Jews in Israel that are against this and that are actively exposing it. But the problem is the majority of that society is in favor of this. I mean, they set up.
That's absolutely true. Can't just group everyone up as the same person. There's good and bad within every religion and community and ethnicity.
They set up observation nests for them to watch the bombing of Gaza. It's like predominantly like a very sick society, and they've been operating
like cruises. They do like cruises where they go by and they're like, ooh, ah.
Yeah, that too. And then, now they're getting a front row seat to it, thankfully. Compliments of Iran. So, it's, I think, and the funny thing is listening to them, kvetch on fucking Twitter about oh, this is our life. And, we've got, this is how we're in a bomb shelter. It's like, these other countries don't have bombs.
Waffle Jackson says, I once broke my tooth on some unpopped popcorn. Isreal planted it there. There you go, man. Victim card all over.
Shelters. Lebanon doesn't have bomb shelters. When you're blowing up fucking children over there on the daily, those people don't even get to hide in bomb shelters. And they actually expect us to feel bad for them. Meanwhile, the whole world is fucking cheering this on. They're just so tone deaf, and they're so used to everybody thinking that they're the victim. And I think it's like a part of their culture too, of just this, constantly, complaining and acting like a victim and begging for sympathy.
Mind control is what it is. It's what they do to Black Americans with all the slave stuff in history, the brutal presentation of slavery in the media, in the movies. That's all to create this victim, this trauma-based mind control on Black Americans. They do the same thing to Jews with the Holocaust. It's all trauma-based mind control. In order to try to control people like that. And that's what they're doing. And I think to get a little more into the psychological aspect of this, to me, it's like watching the guy that's never been in a fight before And I guess if you have this, technological superiority over your enemies where you don't even have to get in a fight with them, right? And you just fly a plane over them and just, bomb them all. You never have to get in a fight. And then it's like when they actually get punched in the mouth, they're like, oh, you punched me. It's like you started a fight. I mean, it's almost like they have this concept that, hey, I'm allowed to start a fight and not take any blows. And maybe that's been the case with their military. But
so maybe some people are like that. They can dish it, but they can't take it.
I mean, that's what it's like. It's like I've seen guys like this. It's like, I'm not some tough guy, but it's like we've all probably seen the guy who loves to start a fight but doesn't like to get punched. It's kind of like that's what this is like. It's like I'm going to start a fight with everybody, but I'm not. Don't punch me though. Hey.
Yeah, or like that Jack Dorsey, where he starts a bunch of
Dog eat dog hot dog says Muslims have the history of starting wars and playing victim. Laugh out loud. Which ones are you talking about? Thanks for jumping in on the chat, buddy. Oh, by the way, we're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, throw in a super chat, become a member. We have so many benefits for our members.
fights, and then he has his security guard come in and fucking protect him. That's what they remind me of. And it's so funny. Like they literally attacked Iran unprovoked, and then whined when Iran retaliated. I mean, it's just I don't know, man. It's all so obvious. It's all so insufferable. And I just feel like everybody's talking about it. Everybody knows what's going on and nobody's fucking doing anything, and I've talked to these other people, like I talked to Candace, I talked to Fuentes, I talked to all these other people. I'm like, why don't you guys run? It's like this whole thing is like all talked out. I don't want to fucking talk about this anymore.
Speaking of, and Infidel said, Sean Strickland said all streamers are happy. Anyways, question: who's gonna win, Sean Strickland or Chimaev? That's gonna be a wild one coming up in what is that? 9 hours. In about 9 hours, and then also we have Sean O'Malley fighting as well. It's gonna be a wild one. Any UFC fans in the chat?
Everybody knows what's going on. Like now, let's actually
type UFC if you're a UFC fan.
Fucking do something about it. And it doesn't seem like anybody wants to actually do anything. And I don't know, it's weird for me. Like I haven't been into politics my whole life. I mean, this has been a more recent thing, and it's crazy. The more I uncover, the more I realize like how fucked up it is and how, deep the rabbit hole goes. And
Nico, how you doing? Welcome. How is it in Italy? We miss you.
I guess for me, what's shocking is that there's other people that know a ton about this and they're just not doing anything. Like,
awesome. Ashley loves UFC. Yeah. Who else loves the UFC? Type UFC in the chat if you like UFC.
Even if you don't win, so fucking